Hello, my friend and fellow business building warrior. Welcome to the weekend update of the Silent Sales Machine Radio podcast. Almost a whole week went by. We've had limited podcast episodes the past few days because we had our virtual conference, and that took up a lot of time, effort, energy, and resources. And it was such a tremendous event. If you weren't a part of it, you can still go see the recordings and the sessions that we conducted just last weekend, basically Friday, Saturday of last week. It was helping you get ready as an Amazon seller for the fourth quarter, which is the last three selling months of the year, telling you what you're going to need to do, what you're going to need to put in place, how the opportunity kind of changes for those 3 months. It gets bigger quick. And we had a lot of sessions dedicated to teaching you specific strategies to take advantage of that, as well as wholesale strategies and different ideas to get you ready for 2025. It was basically a collection of some of the most successful students and leaders from our community sharing what they're seeing, what works now, getting ready for 2025. So if you missed that, get over to theprovenconference.com. You can still get the recordings. We've got them still available for you there if you missed the live virtual event, The Proven Conference. Anytime I talk about the Proven Conference, I'm obliged to tell you that, hey, we've got our next live event where we gather in person in Orlando, Florida, coming up in May. That's the last 3 days of May of 2025, 29th, 30th, and 31st. We're going to be in Orlando. All the details are going to be posted at theprovenconference.com. This is the longest running Amazon seller conference in the world. We've been doing it for many, many years. We're going to have our next gathering, our 13th gathering, is going to be back at the same place where we did it last year. And plan to join us. We had hundreds of us there last year, about 750, 800 of us or so. We're going to do that again. Can't wait to see you there. Hope you can join us for that. Plan to come a few days early, stay a few days late. The resort's given us a great price break on the rooms there for about $100 a night. We're at a really nice resort. Huge price break because we bring a lot of people. So take advantage of it. Enjoy the area. We're going to do it again next year. Okay, so this is our weekend update. What does that mean? Well, the second half of this show is committed to the newest listeners of our community. So if you're new to our community, maybe you've only listened to a handful of podcast episodes, you haven't heard a recent weekend update episode, stick around. The second half of the show is something that we've played more than once. We play it frequently, actually, but it's just for the new listeners. It answers all the common questions that you might have about what our community is all about, how we can help you with the free resources we have available around here. So it's really kind of an introduction, a nice friendly walkthrough of who we are, how we can help you grow the business of your dreams, the successful track record we have of doing just that for thousands of people, hundreds of whom you can hear interviewed on this podcast if you just scroll back in time. Most of our episodes are interviews with those people. So enjoy the second half of this episode if you're new around here. That's really all the current announcements I have, except one little tip. I've got a tip that's worth sticking around for no matter what stage of your Amazon selling career you're at. And it has to do with, oddly enough, the Amazon seller forums. Now, what do I mean by that? Amazon seller forums. You may never have seen them. You may not even know those exist. If you go into Seller Central, where you see all your Amazon statistics, and you click on Help, you're going to see one of the options is the discussion forums, monitored by people employed by Amazon. Now, in the past, the reputation, rightfully so, of those seller forums has been that they're fairly rough place to hang out. There's, I don't want to use any of the buzzwords that I've heard thrown around, but it's not always a positive experience. More frequently than not, it's going to be a negative experience. It has a reputation for, bad information, people intentionally misleading each other, that sort of thing. One of the reasons that our Facebook group, as a matter of fact, is so popular, coming up on 80,000 members. There's a free link to it, by the way, at silentjimdotcom. It's a group for Amazon sellers and e-commerce sellers too, to hang out, support each other, encourage each other, give each other good, accurate information. We have close to 100 people monitoring and moderating that group and helping kind of keep it on track, throwing out the spammers and the clowns, right? We want to give you an advantage in the e-commerce space over the competitors you're seeing. Well, Amazon has its own seller forums, but they've got some disadvantages. One, they have to let anyone and everyone in unless they completely abuse the system. People can be mean, they can give bad information. It may or may not be challenged. Well, Amazon has a group, it's about 20 people that monitor their discussion forums. So here's the good news. Here's the good part that you need to stick around for. I'm not trying to compare theirs against ours. They both have their places. But the thing that you can do at Amazon sellers forums that you can't do at ours is you can request to have your situation escalated, and the Amazon moderators have the ability to escalate your scenario. So let's say you've got a frustrating situation. Amazon just isn't sending you back information that makes any sense on a frustrating challenge that you're trying to overcome or get through. Post it in the Amazon seller forums, request escalation, and the team that monitors those forums can do that for you. This is a fairly recent thing. I had a great conversation in Seattle with at the most recent Amazon Accelerate event for sellers. And I circled up, there was a group of 8 of us there. It was me and 7 people from Amazon's seller support team, including a couple managers. It was phenomenal. We had a great conversation. I'll share more details maybe in the coming episodes. But for today, the thing I want to point out, one of my biggest takeaways was they told me, because I specifically asked, if they had the ability to escalate challenges that were brought to their attention. They said they absolutely did have that ability, and they were happy to tell me about it and excited that I would go home armed with some new information to share with you about what can happen, some of the positive things that can happen in an otherwise kind of difficult arena of the Amazon seller support community. And they're putting some resources in there. They're putting some time, effort, and energy into making those more friendly, more accurate, more helpful, etc. But the one thing they can never do, and we all kind of laughed in agreement when I mentioned this, is you're not allowed to give sellers who hang out in your arena an advantage over other sellers. So that's what we do all day, every day in my arena. We educate sellers on how to have the latest cutting edge strategies and techniques and tools and resources to give them an advantage in the marketplace. That's what we do here. And they laughed and said, yeah, obviously we have to treat all sellers as kind of equivalent equals in our group. And yeah, so that's one of the reasons why my group and your group can coexist very confidently. There's things you guys can do that I can't. There's things I can do that you can't. Let's support each other. So we're in talks to maybe do some of those kinds of things. More on that in the future. No, nothing in stone yet, but it was a great cooperative conversation, very beneficial. I want to share that little detail. Summary: if you've got a challenge on Amazon, you're frustrated, you're not getting back the answers you want, you're frustrated about the way they do things, or you've seen a change, or they challenged you on something and you feel like it was unfair, post it very methodically, without emotion, in the Amazon Seller Central forums. Request help and escalation from their team or someone that can help you, and they have the ability to do that. All right, that's the tip I had for you today. Hopefully that's helpful to you. Let's get over and spend the second half of this episode today, this weekend episode. If you're listening to it live, this is Saturday, the day it comes out. And we're going to spend some time specifically with the newer sellers in our community, or those who are maybe investigating e-commerce and selling on Amazon. The rest of the show is just for you. Enjoy. We'll have more great interview episodes coming at you very quickly as we get our schedule back on track after our virtual event. Thanks for listening. Here's the Jim Fomercial portion of our evening. Those of you who have done this 2, 3, 5, or 50 times with us before, this is a lot of the same stuff you already know. Bear with me. We've got a lot of new people here today. Our group grows by around 150 to 200 people, our Facebook group, every week. And that's because good news travels fast. This is the most success-filled, creative, and I would say most established and what's the word I'm looking for? We've been doing this longer than anybody. We've been teaching e-commerce and Amazon seller training longer than anyone at this point. Believe it or not, we've got over 20 years on our e-commerce coaching program with 60 of the best top students that we've recruited and turned into coaches. This has been the only income that my family and I have had as we've raised our kids, and now 3 of them are married. I got a grandkid, but like back when they were all just little, tater tots, this is all I've done for 22 years is earn money online and teach other people how to do it, raising up some of the most creative leaders along the way that really love this community and learning from them. So what we've wound up with is a group of core leadership that really knows their stuff. They're using the internet creatively, making a lot of money, very open-handedly sharing with others. It's an abundance mindset community. We do not see you as a competitor here this evening. That's why we do this for free. We see you as a future relationship, partnership, maybe a doorway into new opportunities. You've got something you're going to train us at some point. And the ratio I've discovered after doing this for 20 years is about 1 out of every 10 to 15 or so people that we help build a great business winds up pouring some significant value back into this community. So it actually serves us well to serve you well as you're getting going. And Robin Joy is a great example of that. She's on the screen right next to me. And she was a formerly clueless newbie with her husband who calls himself the king of not getting it. Well, now they're coaching team leaders, build a beautiful business, creating content, and helping move this community forward. So a little bit more about the gym commercial, then we'll jump into some content, introduce you, and let Robin Joy tell us maybe about Kickstart and some other things that are going on around here. But some bare basics about this community. Like I said, we've got a free Facebook group. We'd love to have you be a part of it. If you're not, it's 76,000 people from around the world who are using the internet creatively to launch and grow businesses. We love multiple income streams around here. We love businesses we can be proud of around here. And the place we start the vast majority of our students is Amazon. Why Amazon? Because that's where half of all transactions any given day in the United States are taking place. Some people say, well, is it saturated, Jim? No, actually quite the opposite. It's growing so fast that it's hard to even fathom the numbers. Amazon right now has 1 billion ASINs plus, like 1.3 billion. And as Brian, Robin Joy's husband, points out all the time, like it would take you 32 plus years to count to 1 billion. And the thing I like to point out is by the time we got about 100,000 in, the whole game would have changed anyway, because Amazon's adding new products constantly. And you can sell against those. And millions of people shop on Amazon. There's never been anything like it to hit our culture. E-commerce is still less than 20% of all retail. The game has barely begun. And we're seeing success stories constantly in our community as a result of those who follow the trainings we have. We start you off as a clueless newbie, we step you through the process. There's multiple strategies you can get into, but we start everyone with the same basic strategy of helping fill the underserved shelf space at Amazon on everyday common items that are easily sourced. And if you have to go back and listen to this recording again, if it sounds like I've said all these things 1,000 times, it's because I have. And as a reminder, this will be a Saturday episode of our podcast too. So if you want to hear me kind of go through and break down what this community is, you can hear it on that show once a week on the weekends typically. Last thing I want to tell you about, and we'll jump into the content, is our Proven Amazon course. If you're not a Proven AmazonCourse.com student yet, for $39 a month, you get everything the smartest people in our community know about how to succeed on Amazon. Multiple modules. We start all the newbies in the same exact place, though, unless you've got a really unique advantage coming from a place of experience that means you're qualified to drift off the path a little. We're going to start you in the same place that 99% of our students start. And that's, like I mentioned, helping fill the underserved shelf space at Amazon's hundreds of warehouses. It is a robust, exploding opportunity, and we can get you trained on how to do it the right way. There's a lot of mistakes you'll make if you try to do it on your own. We see that all day, every day in our Facebook group, people who are trying to do it on their own, bumping their head, stubbing their toe. We want to help you avoid that. That can be expensive and it takes a lot of time. So get into the Proven Amazon course. And then once you do that, you have an option to get into a Kickstart group.
I'm Robin Joy, and I would love to talk about Kickstart. I am just having such a great time doing these Kickstart groups. What it is a 4-week program where people who are just getting started, we're always saying, take action, make sure you move. Don't just sit there and watch or try to, get stuck in the getting ready to get ready. Take action. Well, people want to know, what action do I take? I'm ready. Well, where do I step my foot? Well, that's what Kickstart is for. So if you come and join us in a Kickstart, it's a group of people who are learning together. We help you get through getting your account open if you don't have a seller account open, getting your Keepa account open, which is, we talk about Keepa a lot out here. This is the only tool really that we feel that you really need. But we will talk about a couple of other beginner tools that you might be interested in during that Kickstart program. We're also going to help you find one item. We're going to take you through kind of one rep through the process, so you know what to expect kind of mechanically about what do I do with my stuff when I get it? How do I get it to Amazon? How do they know it's coming? And how do they give me the money back when that particular thing sells? So we're going to show you how to find that item. We're going to help you to prep that item so it's ready to go into Amazon's FBA warehouses. And then we're going to help you make a shipping plan and pack that up and send it into Amazon's shipping FBA warehouses so it's up for sale for someone to buy. We're going to do that all in 4 weeks. And then at the end, we're going to give you some tips about how to get started organizing yourself so that you can do this over and over and over again. That 4 weeks has 4 live coaching calls with me. Those are group Zoom calls like this, only with the group that's in your Kickstart program. We are going to have live Q&A during those calls. We'll also have Q&A in the Facebook group while so if you think of something you were able to work late at night and we're not on a Zoom call, you can plug in your question in the Facebook group and then I can answer it the next morning.
We had Sylvia actually said Kickstart was so helpful for her. I'm reading her comment that just popped in. Said Robin Joy is a super trainer coach. I completely agree. And she just started last month and she has 40 ASINs already and her first sales popping in. I love it. We love to hear it. And I love the fact that this is real people. If you join us live on a Monday, you can see, I don't like to give last names, but you can see the real names, real people. These are people in our Facebook group. You can interact with them. You can follow up with them. You can build relationships. That's what this community is all about. One of my favorite things to say when we gather at our live annual conferences, for example, which, by the way, we're the longest running Amazon seller conference in the world. We've been doing Amazon seller conferences longer than Amazon's been doing them. So we've got our 13th coming up May of 2025. The link is theprovenconference.com, by the way, if you want to plan. But the point I was making is one of my favorite things to say at the beginning of those events is, as we look around, last time we had about 750 or so people there. You're not in a room full of competitors. You're in a room full of people that are rooting for you, that want you to succeed. We know that that rising tide is going to raise all ships. So we want to hear your story. All right, we got some great comments popping in already. And one of them was someone asking about Merchant Fulfill, Robin Joy, and what are the advantages? Just a general blanket. That was before we even turned on the recording tonight. Because what you'll notice is in our Facebook group, there's several chats that have started. And you can jump into those and you can interact throughout the week. Some people like being in a slightly smaller group. They're nervous to post a question in front of 76,000 people, which there's no reason to be nervous about that. I mean, we get dozens and dozens of great comments and questions every day. But some people go into these little chats and, well, someone left that question right before we started tonight. So we're going to talk about Merchant Fulfill a little bit tonight. And then we're going to get into your questions, guys. So I wouldn't mind hearing, Robin Joy, ball's in your court.
All right. Yeah, I'd be happy to talk about Merchant Fulfilled, FBM, as opposed to FBA. FBA is when we send information, items, into Amazon's warehouse, and then Amazon sends that to the customer after the customer buys it. They store it for us until someone buys it. That's FBA, Fulfilled by Amazon. Fulfilled by Merchant, or Merchant Fulfilled, is FBM, and that is when we do sort of like the eBay model. Okay, so you get the order, you see that someone's ordered it for you, and you put it in a box, in a package by itself, and send it to the customer directly. That's Fulfilled by Merchant. Now, a lot of people use that, especially in the fourth quarter when you just can't get your stuff into Amazon. They have a pretty close cutoff for when when you can have stuff available for Christmas. But if you have some available that you have at your house, that if somebody orders them, you can send them directly to the customer. Sometimes it helps you get some more sales because, they run out. Whatever was in there by the cutoff into the Amazon warehouses, some things run out. And then you have them in your house and you can go ahead and sell them then. That can be very helpful. Now, there are some rules about how new people can sell during fourth quarter in FBM. So check those out if it's your first year in fourth quarter. Check those out by searching in Amazon Seller Central. But if you want to do FBM, it can be very profitable. Just remember, somebody has to pay the shipping, either you or the client. So if you include that in the price, then the customer is paying it. But it has to, the price has to be up a little bit higher so you can still get your profit out of there. If you pay it yourself, then know that you're taking that out of your profits. Okay. Then you have to set up a shipping plan. So I do recommend there's a little bit of complication to it. So if you've never done it before, I recommend that you get with somebody who has done it and have them kind of help you out.
I'm really excited to see the nice turnout, and we got a couple questions popping in. It's a good time for us to illustrate kind of that pyramid of opportunity where at the lowest level, you got the lowest risk stuff that really helps you build a foundation, learn the basic skills needed. That's helping Amazon fill the underserved shelf space at hundreds of warehouses. There's huge opportunity that we've got people with multiple seven-figure businesses doing just that model. My favorite podcast episode, possibly, I've got quite a top 10 list where they kind of battle out, but one of my favorites is 754, podcast episode 754 at silentjimdotcom/podcast. Go listen to it. It's Kang, who has a $3 million replens business completely automated by some software that we've made available to a couple hundred people only at this point, and they're loving it. It's going to be available to the whole community soon, and it automates that lowest level of the pyramid, that replens model, that model of selling everyday boring items easily sourced from retail stores or from online legitimate sources. Maybe we could talk about that too. That's always an interesting topic. But make sure your inventory is legit where you're sourcing it from, retail or online, and then just helping fill the underserved shelf space. He's completely automated. He's got 2 people who works in his warehouse, 2 virtual assistants finding new ASINs. That's it. And this software. Go listen to episode 754 of our podcast at silentjim.com/podcast to hear more about that. And visit this website, silentjim.com/the system has the latest. silentjim.com/the system, all one word. That'll get you up to speed on that. But that's just the lowest level. Then from there, like Robin Joy mentioned, now you've got that established. You don't have to build to 7 figures, obviously. I'd like to see you get to $10,000 or so a month in sales before you even start thinking about doing anything else. Wholesale, branded bundles, exclusive deals, approaching, brands that are poorly represented or misrepresented on Amazon and getting some exclusive deal with them, perhaps, right? Those relational elements. Slightly more risk, slightly more work. You're going to find yourself striking out a little more often, but you've got the skills now to navigate those types of things, all the way up to maybe launching your own brand, private label, or doing consulting at scale, which people in our community do. But that's the pyramid of opportunity. More pay potential as you climb the ladder. You could build more of an asset, maybe, that can be sold to someone else someday as you climb that ladder of opportunity. But you don't want to start off in the middle or at the top, because it's just going to be a source of frustration for you. 95% of the people, for example, that start off trying to do a private label brand on Amazon, no matter what courses and coaching and training and tools they've got, 95% of them fail and end up with a garage full of stuff they can't sell. We don't do that here. We do everything we can to throw speed bumps and stop signs and dig ditches and moats and prevent you from falling into that trap. Some people do it anyway, but it's not because we pushed them in that direction. We try to talk you out of that. We want to start you with the basics, where millions of people all day, every day are basically using Amazon for convenience and speed and don't care a whole lot about the price. And there's just a lot of underserved shelf space at Amazon that you can help fill. Simple business model. We want to teach you that first. That's what our whole system is built around. All right, that's the end of our weekend update. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We're so glad you joined us. Hey, a couple action items for you. If you haven't gotten into our free Facebook group yet, or you haven't checked out the Proven Amazon course yet, or you haven't scheduled a call to talk to us, a half-hour completely free call where we just talk through where you're at, what resources we have to help you, everything from free to very inexpensive. We're talking just a few dollars resources we'd love to get in your hands, or maybe you want a one-on-one coach. You can do all of that at silentjim.com. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Jump over there now, look for those links. Let's have a conversation, get to know us a little bit. Thanks for hanging out with us today.